AITAH for uninviting my dad's wife for my daughter's birthday party over something she did last year? Posted by you/partycostume_throwa. I don't usually turn to the internet for advice, but I feel like my situation is specific enough that my friends can't help me much. For context, my dad has been with Kathy for a little under 15 years. She's technically his third wife, so she's always been very insecure about her place in his family, which has unfortunately led her to become very needy and histrionic. My daughter is turning 6 in February, and we're planning her birthday party. Last year, my husband and I threw her a Cinderella-themed party at our place. My dad showed up without Kathy, who had claimed to be sick. It didn't bother me, but I remember feeling something was off. Near the end of the party, Kathy showed up in a Cinderella costume. She was acting in character and trying to interact with the kids. Neither my husband nor I had been informed she'd be doing that. At most, she'd asked me whether we were hiring any party performers a few weeks prior. I later found out she'd been planning to surprise my daughter and bought the costume the day she found out what the theme would be. My husband and I are still positive Kathy did this for attention. It didn't really work. My daughter recognized her immediately, but it did disrupt things a little, because she did this around the time the kids were eating cake and some of the parents were getting ready to leave. We managed to sort things out, but it took some time and we still had to deal with a dozen confused preschoolers. It was a great party besides that, and our daughter enjoyed herself, which is what matters most, but my husband and I asked Kathy not to do this again. She agreed and apologized. I'm pretty sure she's planning on doing it again. We spent a lot of time with my paternal family during the holidays, and I noticed Kathy was bringing up Cinderella's appearance at the party very frequently. She was reminiscing, showing pictures, and talking about what she'd do differently. She didn't talk to my kids about it much, but she did ask my daughter what theme she wanted for her party this year, and how she'd feel if one of the characters showed up. I really don't want to have to deal with this surprise again, especially if it comes with no warning like last time. We're also throwing this year's party at a venue, not at home, meaning we have a time slot to abide by. My husband and I spoke to Kathy about our concerns. She didn't say she was planning on showing up in costume, but she kept insisting that if she did, the kids would love it and it could be fun. We tried to make her promise she wouldn't do it, but she kept dodging it and claiming she didn't see the problem. Finally, we told her it would be best that she didn't come at all. She can join us for the dinner we're having afterwards, but not the actual party. Now she's upset and my dad is angry at us. He firmly believes we're being paranoid and dramatic. I'm worried we're going too far, but I'm almost certain she is indeed planning on doing it again and I don't want to risk having problems at the party. Am I the jerk? /relevant comments. Commenter. Be blunt. Text her so she can't claim, "Oh, but you didn't tell me," or "I thought you meant." If you would like to attend the party, we would love to have you there as a guest, but not as someone in costume. We don't have time or space for a character appearance this year, so if you show up in costume, you're going to be asked to leave. Then tell the venue that you did not hire any entertainment, and if someone arrives in costume, they are not welcome, period. Be prepared to follow through. And if she does attempt it again, she's no longer welcome at events. She can FAFO. Not the jerk. Ops response. I feel like it's hard to be as blunt as we're being now. We've told her, multiple times in several different ways, not to show up in a costume. She's not outright admitting she's planning on trying again, but she keeps dodging it and saying she's sure the kids will love it. And for the record, my kids didn't really like it last year. Again, my daughter recognized her right away. Commenter 2. Straight up say that you will call the police. It's weird that an adult wants to hang out with children in costume when they're told no. I get what she's trying to do, but if this was an adult male, wouldn't it feel really creepy? And yes, I know it wouldn't be a Cinderella costume, but I just mean she's being weird. I don't know what her issue is, but she needs to go to a therapist. Does she have kids of her own? Does she want to be a performer? What is it that she is missing? Why does she need this attention? It's weird. Can you point out to her how freaking creepy it is? Like, it's so creepy. I don't care that she's an adult female, and we all know that her intentions are not creepy. It's still creepy. Ops response. I genuinely think this is because of her insecurities. She's the younger third wife who showed up when her husband's children were grown, and his family was sick of caring about his relationship history, so she tries to take whatever chance she gets to assert herself as part of the family. As my husband puts it, Kathy acts like she's allergic to not having eyes and ears on her. She's been like this for as long as she's been around, but it gets worse and more ridiculous as time goes by. It's been especially bad since I had kids. Commenter 3. This is one of those questions that could go either way. On the one hand, you're totally right to have your boundaries, and it's weird that she's trying to not only surprise your daughter, but also to surprise you. Why is she so obsessed with being a Disney princess? On the other hand, everything from you feels like a bit of an overreaction because it's just a princess costume? Unless you're getting creepy child predator vibes from her, she seems like she's just trying to do something fun for the kids. Maybe it was awkward because you made it awkward? But is it generally harmless? I don't know this lady, and I guess my judgment of the situation would depend on her actions outside of this. Does she frequently cross boundaries? Is she generally liked by your kids? Does she treat them well? Those kinds of things. Ops response. I think that's a fair assessment. I don't really care about the awkwardness potential, I care about it being done with no prior warning. There was a little girl at the party last year who started crying because she and her parents had to leave, but Cinderella had just arrived. I'm having this event thrown, so I want to know what will happen, especially this year. She's not very respectful of boundaries, but not the worst case in my family. She's the kind of person who does what she thinks other people should like, instead of what they actually want. The kids like her, but don't love her. Commenter 3. I completely understand not wanting to be surprised that she's coming as a surprise entertainer again. That's so effing weird. She should be able to communicate like an adult and ask if you're willing to have her there in costume, not just show up. I would probably just say the same thing to your dad. Ask him why she needs to pull some big surprise instead of just communicating like the full-grown adult that she is. Ops response. From what I can tell, my dad doesn't know for sure whether she is actually planning to show up in costume. He didn't know last year, and he didn't love it either. Commenter 4. Not the jerk, but oh my god, Lamau. Tell her this year's theme is the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Ops response. We've made it very clear that this is more difficult to manage than it seems, but she refuses to accept it. She, sadly, already knows the theme will be K-pop demon hunters this year. Update 5 days later. So, I have a love/hate relationship with being right. My dad called me 2 days after I posted. There's a purple wig at his place that is styled suspiciously similar to Rumi from K-pop demon hunters. He opened Kathy's mail thinking it was his and found it. The costume itself is set to arrive in about a week. She wasn't planning on telling him about either. He's claiming they fought, because neither the costume nor the wig were cheap, but he also felt the need to tell me she'd been watching the movie repeatedly to study, and that she cares so much, and that isn't it sweet how much Kathy loves my kids, and maybe my daughter would like it this time. That was all I heard before I went to look for a pillow to scream into. I'm done. This made me a lot angrier than it should have, but it isn't the first time someone in my family decides my plans and the effort I put in don't mean crap. And if I can't even plan my own child's birthday party without someone trying to butt in, I don't have to feel bad about drawing the line. Kathy is officially banned from the party. My husband and I have alerted the venue that we didn't hire any character performers, and if any Caucasian-looking Korean pop star shows up, they must tell her to go home. We also gave them a picture of her. They basically told us they can't let anyone who's not on the guest list inside anyway, so she won't be allowed. I feel horrible about making them deal with my family drama, but at least that's one less thing to worry about. My dad and I did fight about this, but I put my foot down. He kept arguing that it wouldn't be a big deal if I just let Kathy have this. I told him that's not the point. If he's not the one who's going to have to manage the situation, he doesn't get to tell me how hard it is to do it. In the end, this is what we settled on. My dad can come to the birthday party as long as Kathy doesn't tag along. If she does, they're both out. Both of them can still join us for dinner later. I'm also thinking about lowering my contact with both my dad and Kathy. I love my dad, but no headache is worth this. I want to wait until I'm calmer to work out the details. I want to thank everyone. I've got a lot going on in my life and my therapist is on vacation, so it feels good to rant about this. But for my own sanity, I'm going to focus on relaxing for the next couple of weeks. I already feel much lighter knowing this is over. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. The dad trying to frame her studying a movie to hijack a toddler's party as sweet, instead of unhinged, is some world-class enabling. Ops response. It happens a lot, even when he disagrees with her. Commenter 2. Why does Kathy get to have this when it's not about Kathy? It's about your daughter. Your daughter. Kathy doesn't get to blatantly ignore explicit instructions. We said no. It's very jerkish of you to ignore that no. What else will you ignore? Kathy has burned her last bridge. I think low contact or no contact with dad for a bit so he sees how serious this is to you is a good idea. Like, no, dude. She had this last year and still doesn't get how she effed it up. She can get a dog and have birthday parties for it. Ops response. I feel like people don't give kids enough credit. I'm positive my children didn't really enjoy what she did last year, But one of Kathy's main arguments was that she was sure my daughter would love it this time. Commenter 3. You know she'll show up for dinner in costume, right? Op's response. It's not the same thing. If she shows up in costume at a party full of small kids without warning, it's easy for history to repeat itself. If she shows up in costume at a restaurant in which the only children present will be family, and there wouldn't be any real excuse for a character performer to be there, at worst she embarrasses herself. Op to another commenter. She can't be allowed inside the venue without being on the guest list. They know who she is and what she looks like, so it doesn't matter whether she's in costume or not. There is zero chance Kathy is coming to the party. And to be fair, she's in her 40s and does look young. Not young enough to pass for a 20-something, though. I'm not sure I'll update again. If I truly don't update, it's because nothing happened.